For centuries, the United Kingdom has been a bastion of parliamentary democracy. This system, deeply rooted in history, has evolved through countless trials and tribulations, shaping the nation into what it is today. The grandeur of the British Parliament building stands as a testament to this enduring legacy. At the helm of this system stands the Prime Minister, a figure who embodies both the will of the people and the continuity of tradition. The Prime Minister's role is multifaceted, requiring a delicate balance between leadership and representation. From delivering speeches that inspire the nation to making critical decisions that affect millions, the Prime Minister's responsibilities are vast and varied. The Prime Minister, chosen from the elected members of Parliament, acts as the head of government. This selection process ensures that the leader is someone who has the confidence of their peers and the electorate. The House of Commons, with its lively debates and rigorous scrutiny, serves as the arena where the Prime Minister must prove their mettle. Their power stems from the support of their party and their ability to command a majority in the House of Commons. This majority is not just a number, it represents the collective will of the people, channeled through their elected representatives. The Prime Minister must navigate the complex dynamics of party politics, ensuring that they maintain the trust and support of their colleagues. This intricate system has shaped the UK's political landscape, fostering a sense of evolution rather than revolution. Over the years, the UK has witnessed significant changes, yet the core principles of its parliamentary democracy have remained steadfast. This continuity has provided stability, allowing the nation to adapt and grow without losing its foundational values. The Prime Minister is not above the law or the will of Parliament. They are subject to the same legal and ethical standards as any other citizen. This accountability ensures that power is exercised responsibly and that the Prime Minister remains answerable to both Parliament and the public. They are accountable to both their peers and the electorate. This dual accountability creates a system of checks and balances, preventing any single individual from wielding unchecked power. The Prime Minister must constantly engage with both Parliament and the public, ensuring that their actions reflect the will of the people. This intricate dance of power has defined British politics for generations. The interplay between tradition and progress, between stability and change, has created a unique political culture. The Prime Minister, as the central figure in this dance, must navigate these complexities with skill and foresight. But what if the UK were to consider a radical departure from this time-honoured system? What if the very foundations of British governance were to be reimagined? This thought experiment challenges us to think beyond the familiar and consider new possibilities. What if, instead of a Prime Minister, the UK had a President? This hypothetical scenario invites us to explore the potential benefits and drawbacks of such a significant change. A presidential system could bring a new dynamic to British politics, but it would also come with its own set of challenges. This question, though hypothetical, opens a Pandora's box of possibilities, challenges, and potential consequences. It forces us to consider how such a shift would impact the balance of power, the role of Parliament, and the relationship between the government and the people. It compels us to examine the very fabric of British governance and imagine a future where the political landscape is redrawn. This examination requires a deep understanding of the current system, as well as a willingness to envision new ways of governing. Would a president fundamentally alter the UK's identity? Or could it be a natural progression for a nation constantly adapting to a changing world? This question touches on the core of what it means to be British and how the nation's identity is intertwined with its political system. The journey towards answering these questions requires a deep dive into the heart of the UK's political system, comparing its strengths and weaknesses with the allure and potential pitfalls of a presidential model. This comparative analysis will shed light on the unique characteristics of the UK's parliamentary democracy and how they might be preserved or transformed in a new system. It's a journey that will take us from the hallowed halls of Westminster to the living rooms of everyday citizens as we explore the potential impact of such a seismic shift in power. By engaging with a diverse range of perspectives, we can gain a deeper understanding of what this change could mean for the future of the UK. To understand the implications of a UK president, we must first look across the Atlantic to the United States. The American presidency is a unique institution, one that has evolved over centuries to become a symbol of both power and democracy. The American presidency is the epitome of a system where the head of state and head of government are combined in one powerful office. This dual role means that the president is not only the face of the nation, but also the chief architect of its policies. Elected directly by the people, the US president holds executive power, shaping domestic and foreign policy. This direct election process gives the president a unique mandate, one that is rooted in the will of the people. The president's mandate stems from the people, not from Congress. This direct line to the electorate grants them a level of autonomy and authority that is distinct from the UK Prime Minister. The inauguration ceremony itself is a powerful reminder of this direct connection to the populace. This direct line to the electorate grants them a level of autonomy and authority that is distinct from the UK Prime Minister. In the UK, the Prime Minister's power is more diffused, relying heavily on the support of Parliament to enact policies and make decisions. While the Prime Minister relies on the support of Parliament, the President can, to some extent, act independently. This independence allows the President to make swift decisions, especially in times of crisis, without needing immediate parliamentary approval. This separation of powers, enshrined in the US Constitution, creates a system of checks and balances designed to prevent any one branch of government from becoming too dominant. The Constitution meticulously outlines the powers and limitations of each branch, ensuring a balance that is crucial for democracy. However, this very system, while designed to ensure stability, can also lead to gridlock. The President and Congress may find themselves at odds, particularly if they represent different political parties. This can result in a stalemate, where little to no legislative progress is made. The President and Congress may find themselves at odds, particularly if they represent different political parties. This political friction can stall legislation and hinder the government's ability to address pressing issues, such as economic crises or social reforms. This can stall legislation and hinder the government's ability to address pressing issues. The sight of an empty legislative chamber or protesters outside government buildings often symbolizes this political deadlock and public frustration. The UK, with its parliamentary system, has historically avoided such political paralysis. The Prime Minister, as the leader of the majority party, can usually rely on Parliament's support to pass legislation. This support streamlines the legislative process, allowing for more efficient governance. The Prime Minister, as the leader of the majority party, can usually rely on Parliament's support to pass legislation. This allows for a more streamlined decision-making process, but it also raises concerns about the concentration of power in the hands of the executive branch. The Prime Minister's ability to push through legislation with relative ease can sometimes lead to a lack of thorough debate and scrutiny. This allows for a more streamlined decision-making process, but it also raises concerns about the concentration of power in the hands of the executive branch. While this can lead to efficient governance, it also poses the risk of marginalizing minority voices and reducing the checks and balances that are essential in a democratic system. The ongoing parliamentary debates and discussions are crucial in ensuring that all perspectives are considered before any major decision is made. Imagine for a moment a UK general election where, alongside choosing their local MP, citizens also cast a vote for the nation's president. This single act would fundamentally alter the dynamics of British politics, introducing a direct link between the people and the highest office in the land. The president, no longer a product of parliamentary manoeuvring, would derive their legitimacy directly from the popular vote. This shift to a presidential system would necessitate a complete overhaul of the UK's electoral process. The current first-past-the-post system, often criticised for its tendency to produce unrepresentative outcomes, would likely be replaced with a more proportional system, or perhaps even a two-round runoff election as seen in France. The campaign trail too would transform into a spectacle more akin to American presidential races. Candidates would crisscross the nation, appealing directly to voters through televised debates, rallies and social media blitzes. The focus would shift from local constituencies to national issues as candidates vie for the support of a broad electorate. This direct connection between the president and the people could have profound implications for public engagement in politics. A president elected by the people might inspire greater interest and participation in the democratic process. However, it could also lead to a more personality-driven political culture, where charisma trumps policy expertise. The introduction of a president would inevitably disrupt the delicate balance of power that has long defined the UK's political system. This balance has been carefully maintained over centuries, evolving through numerous reforms and political shifts. The UK's parliamentary system, with its roots in medieval times, has always emphasised the supremacy of Parliament. Introducing a president would be a seismic shift, potentially upending traditions that have been the bedrock of British governance. The House of Commons, currently the primary seat of legislative authority, would find its role redefined as it navigates a new relationship with a president who holds a popular mandate. This mandate, derived directly from the electorate, could challenge the Commons' historical authority. MPs would need to adapt to a new political reality where their legislative initiatives might be subject to presidential approval or veto, fundamentally altering the legislative process. The dynamics between the executive and legislative branches would be forever altered. The current system, where the Prime Minister is a member of Parliament and accountable to it, ensures a close link between the executive and legislative branches. A president, however, would stand apart, potentially leading to conflicts and power struggles that could paralyze governance. The president, as head of state and government, would likely assume many of the powers currently vested in the Prime Minister. This includes not only leading the executive branch but also playing a significant role in shaping foreign policy, defence, and national security. The president's influence would extend into every corner of government, from economic policy to social issues, making the role immensely powerful. They would appoint the cabinet, set the legislative agenda, and represent the UK on the world stage. This centralisation of power in a single individual could streamline decision-making, but also risks creating a bottleneck where the president's priorities overshadow those of Parliament. The president's ability to appoint key officials would further consolidate their control over the government apparatus. However, unlike the Prime Minister, whose power is checked by the potential for a vote of no confidence in Parliament, the president would enjoy a fixed term in office. This fixed term could provide stability, allowing the president to implement long-term policies without the constant threat of being ousted. Yet, it also raises concerns about accountability and the potential for abuse of power. This raises a critical question: how much power should a UK president wield? The extent of presidential power would need to be carefully defined to prevent overreach. Would the president have the authority to dissolve Parliament, call for new elections, or even declare a state of emergency? These are crucial considerations that would need to be addressed in any constitutional reform. Would they have the authority to veto legislation passed by Parliament, as the US president can? A presidential veto could serve as a check on parliamentary excesses, but it could also lead to legislative gridlock if used excessively. The balance of power between the president and Parliament would be a delicate one, requiring clear rules and mechanisms for resolving disputes. Or would their role be more ceremonial, similar to the President of Ireland? A ceremonial president could serve as a unifying figurehead, representing the nation without wielding significant political power. This model would preserve the parliamentary system's integrity while providing a symbolic leader to embody national values and continuity. The answer to this question would shape the very nature of the UK's new political landscape. The choice between a powerful executive president and a ceremonial figurehead would have profound implications for how the UK is governed, how laws are made, and how political power is distributed. The House of Lords, too, would face an uncertain future in a presidential system. Traditionally, the Lords have acted as a revising chamber, scrutinising and amending legislation passed by the Commons. In a presidential system, their role could be diminished, or they might be reformed to provide a counterbalance to the president's executive power. Its role as a revising chamber could be diminished, or it could be reformed to provide a counterbalance to the president's executive power. This could involve granting the Lords new powers or changing their composition to ensure they can effectively check the president's authority. The future of the House of Lords would be a key issue in any transition to a presidential system. The question of how to accommodate the House of Lords within a presidential system would be just one of many constitutional conundrums to be addressed. The UK's unwritten constitution would need significant revision to define the new roles and powers of the President, Parliament and the Lords. This process would require careful deliberation and broad consensus to ensure the stability and effectiveness of the new system.